Welcome back to The Word at Work. My name's Kyle, and it's been a huge privilege working through the book of Proverbs together. We come now to Proverbs chapter 8, perhaps the most majestic chapter in all the book. And Proverbs chapter 8 is trying to do something simple but very profound. It is trying to convince us of the value of wisdom. As we've gone through these first chapters, we've noticed again and again how important wisdom is, about the impact wisdom will have on our lives, as well as the impact foolishness will have on our lives. But it's possible to get to the end of chapter 7 and to not yet be fully persuaded that we need to give ourselves to studying and knowing this book, to studying and embracing wisdom. And so chapter 8 is all about persuading us of the value of wisdom. In contrast to the woman in chapter 7 who leads us to death, we meet another woman in chapter 8 who will lead us to life. And her name is Lady Wisdom. She personifies wisdom and tells us about herself. So if you have a Bible, can I encourage you to open up to Proverbs chapter 8. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but I would encourage you to do that in your own time. You might even want to pause the podcast or the video to do so. But we will work through the sections and come to grips with Lady Wisdom's argument. So we begin in the beginning. We meet Lady Wisdom calling out, raising her voice there in verse 1. She stands at the crossroads in verse 2. The crossroads, of course, are the point where we must make a choice. What do we want to do? What way of life will we embrace? And notice again what she says, verse 4. To you, O men, I call, my cries to the children of man. Verse 6, I will speak noble things. From my lips will come what is right. Verse 7, my mouth will utter truth. Verse 8, all the words of my mouth are righteous. Lady Wisdom is speaking to us, and she's telling us to listen to her words. She will give us instruction. She will give us guidance. She will give us truth. Now, as I've said before, I think this refers to chapters 10 to 31. If we're going to learn from Lady Wisdom, if we're really going to pay attention to her voice, we need to give ourselves to studying chapters 10 to 31. Because Lady Wisdom communicates her attributes verbally. That's how we become acquainted with her, as we listen to her, we learn from her words. So she is passionately pleading at the crossroads, at that point of decision. And notice who she is pleading with. Verse 4, to you, O men, my cry is to the children of man. So in other words, she's speaking to the masses. She's speaking to everyone. She's speaking to everyday people, ordinary people, people like you and me, people who are not necessarily living in ivory towers, or kind of secluded somewhere in wealth and privilege. No, she is speaking to everyday people like you and me, and she's saying you need to embrace wisdom. But you might feel like, that's not me. I'm just never going to become wise. I'm just a simple person, and it's never going to be possible for me to attain the level of wisdom that Lady Wisdom wants to bring me to. But I'd want to point out verse 5 to you, because she's not just calling to humanity in general, although she is. She is also speaking, verse 5, to the simple ones and to the fools. If you feel like a simpleton, if you feel like a fool, Lady Wisdom says, come to me and learn. I want to teach you. I want to give you truth and righteousness and knowledge and instruction. And so that's how she begins this chapter. Now, why? Why should we embrace Lady Wisdom? The body of the lesson comes from verses 12 to 31, and this is the majestic portion that I was talking about. Verses 12 to 31 are incredible and worth our deep reflection. You could break up that section into two. The first reason we should embrace Lady Wisdom has to do with her ability to enable us to govern the social order. In other words, wisdom gives you counsel, she gives you understanding, she gives you power and strength that enables you to lead and govern in public life. Take a look at verse 12. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and I find knowledge and discretion. The fear of the Lord is hatred of evil. Pride and arrogance in the way of evil and perverted speech I hate. I have counsel and sound wisdom. I have insight. I have strength. By me kings reign and rulers decree what is just. By me princes rule and nobles, all who govern justly. Wherever you see just governance, wherever you see godly leadership, there you'll find the fingerprints of Lady Wisdom. She enables you to lead and govern in the social realm with justice and integrity in a way that leads to the flourishing of those under your care. And more than that, Lady Wisdom will bestow wealth and honor on you. She loves those who love her. Verse 18, riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and righteousness. I walk in the ways of righteousness, verse 20, in the paths of justice, granting an inheritance to those who love me and filling their treasuries. And so Lady Wisdom has these beautiful attributes: counsel, strength, righteousness, and she will give those attributes to those who love her. And the consequences of those attributes are wealth and honor. Lady Wisdom will enable you to govern in the social realm. She will give you the power and the wisdom you need to lead in public life. That's what she offers you. Wherever you see social order working, there you'll find the fingerprints of Lady Wisdom. But she's even more majestic than that, because it's not just that she can govern social order. She actually is the very principle of creation order. And that's from verse 22 onwards. The Lord possessed me at the beginning of his work, the first of his acts of old. Ages ago I was set up, at the first before the beginning of the earth. When there were no depths I was brought forth, when there were no springs abounding with water, before the mountains had been shaped, before the hills I was brought forth. Right? The point she's making here is that I pre-existed creation. I was the first of God's creative acts, and I was there before creation began. And then she'll say, when creation began, I was there with God, building it. Right? Take a look at verse 27. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep, when he made firm the skies above, when he established the foundations of the deep. So, Lady Wisdom was there with God building creation. In other words, this is quite remarkable. Wisdom is primary to God. Right? Before creation, he creates wisdom. Before he makes the world, he has wisdom with him. And then he makes creation with her. Lady Wisdom is with God in creation. Right? She is fundamental to the principle of creation. Creation order has got Lady Wisdom's fingerprints all over it. And I think the point here is very profound, and it's this. If God used Lady Wisdom in building the world, don't you think you need Lady Wisdom in building your life? Can I say that again? If God used Lady Wisdom in building the world, don't you think you need Lady Wisdom when it comes to building your life? And of course the answer is yes. If God himself doesn't build things without Lady Wisdom, then why would we try to build our lives without her? Notice also the nature of Lady Wisdom. She is joyful and loving, right? Sometimes when you think of wisdom, you can think of being very sober-minded and kind of boring. But take a look at verse 30. Lady Wisdom was beside God like a master workman, and now was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world, and delighting in the children of man. Lady Wisdom is full of joy, and she's full of love. And she longs to come to us and to bless us. Right, so Lady Wisdom is not far away or disinterested. No, Lady Wisdom wants to know us and love us and bless us. And so the conclusion of this majestic poem is verse 32. Now, O sons, listen to me. Blessed are those who keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise, and do not neglect it. Blessed is the one who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting beside my doors. Right, again and again and again and again, Lady Wisdom has told us, blessed are those who take my words and embrace them. And again, that's, I think, a reference to chapters 10 to 31. You will have been persuaded by chapter 8 if you study chapters 10 to 31. Verse 35, for whoever finds me finds life. All right, to find Lady Wisdom, to embrace her truth is to find life. To hate her is to love death. And so this chapter ends with a question. What will we do? Will we choose Lady Wisdom? And without being able to go into too much detail, a number of people often comment on how chapter 8 points us to Christ. And I think the way Derek Kidness put it, which I found so helpful, is that this personifying of wisdom prepares us for its final incarnation. Right? In the end, Lady Wisdom isn't just personified as a woman, but comes to us as a person in the Lord Jesus Christ. And so when you embrace him, the creator, the sustainer, the one in whom we find our life. So I'd encourage you to spend time looking at chapter 8. It really is a majestic poem that highlights the value of wisdom. If God values wisdom, and if God uses wisdom in the way he builds the world, won't you use wisdom in the way that you build your life? Thanks for joining me. Our final video is in chapter 9, where we will think about the 2 ways to live. God bless.